Hello, Noir Vortex here, and I'm going to do a kind of political video today, but also literary video too, with some literary recommendations. So, video's going to be in two parts. I'm going to talk first on the books I've read related to Marxism, Socialism, and the left, I guess, broadly speaking. So, I'll just start with that. So, basically, if you are interested in left-wing politics, or the development of the left, or the new left, or the left wing in the broadest sense of the word, then check some of these books out. I'll briefly describe each one. Just think how to logically do this. Right, so I guess I haven't got the copy of it on me now, but obviously the best place to start with Marxism is Marx and Engels. Communist Manifesto, Das Kapital, which I still actually need to read myself. I've read Communist Manifesto, Engels as well, Conditions of the Working Class. Basically the book I had was a book I picked up ages ago on. I might have it here actually. Just search. No, I don't actually got it at the minute. This one, it's got missing. Oh, I know where it is. Actually, it's my studio. Yeah. Marx is a good place to start, obviously, and Engels, and just read as much of that as you can, I guess. It gives a good grounding in theory. So yeah, I'm going to something. The Bolshevik Revolution by Mark Ferro. I picked this up when I was at university, actually. When I first started reading about the revolution in Russia. And it's a very good summary and historical analysis of the Russian Revolution from the Mensheviks versus the Bolsheviks. It touches upon, it goes historically through the entire October Revolution and how things built up to that from the February Revolution onwards. I haven't read it for a while actually. I need to actually. I've read most of it and I've kind of flicked through. I don't think I've read the end of it yet, but it's and it's quite dry. Some of it is a lot of fact. It's very fact based and a lot of statistics and kind of data in there, which is quite interesting. And yeah, it's just a good book. I don't know I picked this up quite cheap at book sale. The publisher, it might be a different one now. I'm not sure. But publisher is Routledge and Keegan in London. I'm not sure actually. But yeah, this is worth checking out. So I'll just go through them in the chapters. It's got disintegration of the February system. So I was talking about the failed February Revolution. Birth of a society, revolution, all the stuff like all the events leading up to the October Rising, the revolution, and that's basically it. So it's part one and part two. Part one's disintegration of February, and the birth of a society, which is basically going into the real detail of the October Revolution. And like I said, it's very much an analysis. So I'll just say, the real meat of this really is the October Revolution stuff. So the nationalities, disintegration, reunion and fusion, revolution in the countryside, labour against capital, the state, from Soviets to bureaucracy. A lot of it touched on theory that was developing at the time as well, and the October Rising and conclusion. But yeah, I would recommend this for a very good thorough analysis of the Bolshevik Revolution, basically. In Russia, long ago. Slightly different one actually, but this is a really interesting book actually. I've not read all of it. Look how thick that is. It's very much a book you just flick into as well, because it's basically the favourite book of Utopias. So it's a book of lots of theoretical societies, from fiction, non-fiction. It's like a compilation. Let's read a bit from the back. In this spellbinding new anthology, John Carey, who's the author, charts a course of a host of imaginary societies combining a broad historical sweep of lively variety. We hear from Homer and Marx, Swift and Rousseau, de Sade and Oscar Wilde, Hitler and George Orwell, Italo Calvini and Julian Barnes. Utopias come in every conceivable cultural and sexual shade. communist, fascist, anarchist, green, golden age, techno-fantastic, all male, all female, all hermaphrodite. The fable book of Utopias encompasses some noble and selfless schemes, lofty in their estimate of human potential. But the history of Utopia is also spine-chilling in the trail of folly and tyranny it uncovers. Which dystopia, which is the opposite of utopia. I kind of have an obsession with utopia and dystopia, and how, I guess it's an Orwellian thing really, which is just a good thing to always bear in mind basically when thinking about issues around politics and construction of new societies. Is utopias can very easily slip into dystopias pretty rapidly, and often if you look at history they often do, like with Mao's China and the Cultural Revolution, Stalin's 5-year leap, all this stuff. If a society tries to have these year zero philosophies, and I mean admittedly a lot of the time it is communist societies, but fascism as well. I mean, left and the right have got their own trail of bodies in history, but yeah, I mean, look, a lot of the year zero philosophies generally end in a lot of bloodshed. So, on the note of Orwell, George Orwell, where I write. It's been a while since I read this. It's about Orwell's early life, why his reasons for writing, analysis of political language as well. So, as you can see on there, it says, I can't really, the light's a bit off. Political language is designed to make lies sound truthful and murder respectful, and to give an appearance of solidarity to pure wind. Solidity, sorry, not solidarity. Bit of a boo-boo. Yeah. So I haven't read this for a long time actually. I can't really remember what it goes into, but it's worth reading for a kind of insight into Orwell's mind, basically. I think he talks somewhat about English socialism as well. Yeah, I think it's in politics in the English language. Lion and the Unicorn, I think, touches on that as well. Let me just check. Yeah, I mean it's quite short that, but that's kind of about socialism and the English genius. Just one of the chapters there. It's very interesting actually. It's worth reading. I need to actually reread it, as you can probably tell, because I've kind of muddled the description of what it's about. But well, there you go. Another humongous Marxist tome, but one that's worth dipping in and out of. Gramsci. Selections from the prison notebooks. Written while he was imprisoned by Mussolini. That nice fella of the Italian twat. So yeah, this basically explores Gramsci's idea of hegemony and questions of ideology, power, critical theory. It's pretty heavy going, but it's very. I mean, I actually quite get excited by this book, funnily enough. Sometimes it's like I said, it's one you kind of dip in and out of. It's got some really interesting comparative ideas as well, like for the Modern Prince, for example. I'm not really looking into this chapter much, but it sounds interesting. Machiavellian Marx, Machiavelli politics. It's kind of comparing Machiavellians to Prince, which is the ultimate archetype of selfishness in kind of self-servingness in politics, or the field guide for that, with Marx, which is quite interesting because obviously that's more of a selfless, in theory, idea of running society and politics. Yeah, it talks a lot about agriculture, state and civil society. I've read quite a lot of stuff on that. Americanism, I haven't read that chapter yet. Americanism and Fordism, bureaucracy, philosophy of praxis. Probably flipped into that a bit, but it's talks a lot about the intelligentsia as well, versus different positions of urban and rural type intellectuals. Search of educational principles, but it's quite interesting. Look, it's pretty thick, as you can see. It's very much one you can dip in and out of very easily. Very structured. That's where I am, I think, now on it, roughly. Or the last place I was reading. I'm kind of flipping, like I said, I'm kind of flipping in and out of this one. It's quite modern. I'll put show some modern texts. I'm almost done with this. This is Paul Mason's Post-Capitalism: A Guide to Our Future, and it's pretty riveting read actually. Paul Mason is aligned basically with the Democratic Socialist Labour Party at the minute. Well, just the Labour Party, I guess, but it's nice to be able to call them Democratic Socialist again. And Mason basically just explores the idea of a post-capitalist system through economics and society. I don't know what he's justifying at the minute, because I've not read all of it. I've read just under the halfway mark. He's talking about there's this Russian economist, I can't remember what his name is at the end of the day, that compares some of his economic ideas to neoliberal conceptions of economic systems. And I haven't got to the end of this. Based on talks I've seen from Paul Mason, I think his idea basically is to develop a post-capitalist system of exchanged, like digital exchange, I guess, basically like labour for labour exchange kind of thing. But I haven't finished it, so I might be misinterpreting it there or getting it wrong. But it's a really interesting book. It's quite big. This is the hardcover though, but you can get it softback as well, and it's an interesting read. I just need to finish it off. And this is just finally. There's a few more I could have done probably, but this is only a quick start. Corbyn, and I've only read a little bit of this. It's basically just about his, well, so far, Richard Seymour is his by. It's just like a biography and a bit about his history, and just an analysis of current. Well, I mean, this is actually published not just like last year, I think, so it's probably a bit out of date now, but it's basically analysis of the situation so far, analysis of New Labour, Corbyn, Labour isn't working, blah blah blah. Quite British politics. One I need to finish. But yeah, that's that. So if you've got any book recommendations you'd like to recommend me on the leftist side of things, please do. I currently still regard myself as a democratic socialist, but I'm currently very interested in reading more about anarchism, anarchist theory. Buchanan, I think, is a guy I need to read. Max Weber. It seems like an interesting anarcho-communism, I believe, is the idea he had regarding left-wing politics. Rosa Luxemburg, I'm going to read more. I've read some of her stuff on Marxist.org, but I need to want to read more. And yeah, I mean, obviously I missed a lot of some stuff out. I don't have all the copies of the books I've read here right now. The transitional phase of living and stuff. So yeah, hope you find something of use in there that would be interesting to read. I probably missed out loads of really important text, obviously, but like I said, this is just a quick 12-minute video exploring and recommending some books on the left socialist front which are really good to read and will enhance your perspectives on left-wing politics in general. Cheers.